Folks, I'm here today to talk about a very important subject, one that is absolutely mandatory that anyone who's watching these videos and or who partakes in gunsmithing, shooting, sports that involve guns like hunting, that you need to hear, and you need to hear it periodically. And given the considerations that TheGaGG.com, we're constantly talking about guns, we're working with guns. We started wanting to do a firearms safety series periodically, and this is our first. So let's talk firearms safety here real quick. First and foremost, understand this. If you work with guns regularly, if you gunsmith, if you shoot competitively, if you're out in the field hunting a lot, guess what? You're that guy who's probably going to have a breach in firearms safety and protocol. So periodically come to this video or one of our other firearms safety videos and review and renew, and I use that word renew important, your commitment to firearms safety. It's really easy to get lackadaisical, especially when you're working with guns a lot. And folks, guns are a wonderful thing. They're awesome to have. They're just a tool that's amazing beyond belief, but they're also something that can cause a lot of destruction if not handled carefully. So let's review 3 simple rules you must always follow. Did you hear a little opera there? 1, never, ever assume that any gun, even if you just witnessed somebody unloading it, is unloaded. Never assume that it's unloaded. Always assume every gun is loaded until you yourself physically and visually inspect it. Now, how do you physically and visually inspect it? Well, with a semi-automatic gun like this, you pull the slide to the rear. You look where in the chamber where the bullet would reside, and you visually verify that. You take your little finger or whatever you've got. If you've got big fingers like me and doesn't fit, take a little tool and just poke in there and make sure there's nothing in there. But wait, that's not all. There's more. You look in this area behind the chamber to make sure there's not some bullet that's stuck there that when you release this slide is going to get chambered. And suddenly an unloaded gun is loaded. You also want to do that, folks, because every now and then you're going to forget to drop that magazine before you perform this. And you're going to be that guy or gal who looks real quick, boom, slides it back forward. There's now a round in that chamber. And hopefully when that trigger gets pulled, it is in a safe direction. So always make sure that magazine's out. Always make sure that you visually check the chamber, that you visually inspect down the magazine. Now, if you're dealing with a revolver, it's very similar. You want to look at all of the cylinder where you can hold the shells in the cylinder on the revolver and make sure that it's empty. Simple as that. Shotguns, very similar to semi-autos if they're pump or if they're semi-auto shotguns. If they're more simple, like over, under, or double barrel, then you breach the barrel, you look, you pull any empty shells out and make sure that it's completely empty. Rifles, all the same, folks. It doesn't matter. Then second rule, once we make sure that we've visually inspected ourselves, not someone else, we never assume someone else's inspection is valid, then the next rule that we have is that we never, ever, ever point this gun in any direction that's unsafe. Now, you're saying, Luke, you're pointing it at me. Well, I'm pointing it at a camera. There's no camera person behind that. I asked them to step aside while I was doing that. We never want to point that gun, even if we've ensured that it's empty, at anything that we're not willing to destroy or kill. Because ultimately, a firearm going off can destroy or kill. Okay? So, number 1, never assume that a gun is empty. Always yourself check it. Number 2, never point that gun at anything you're not willing to destroy and kill. One caveat, folks, that includes yourself. So you never want to do things like this. See how I'm doing that? Or anything else stupid, like you pull your gun out and you cross your hand when you're drawing your gun. Don't point it at yourself, even if it's your hand that you don't need and that you don't use that much, because ultimately you're going to lose that hand. All right? So the first two rules. And then the third rule, very simple. You never put your trigger finger or anything in or around that trigger where it could accidentally or purposely pull it until you're ready for that bullet to come out and you're prepared that what it's pointing at to destroy or kill. Okay? So on a semi-automatic gun like this, until I'm ready to pull that trigger, until I'm sure it's in the direction that I want the bullet to go, my finger stays up here. I don't just have it setting down here, waiting, la, 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 la. No, it's up here. Trigger finger discipline. Now, when I'm ready, I've got that gun on target, I'm ready to pull, then guess what? I put my finger on the trigger, but it's in a safe direction. It's at what I want to aim or kill. Boom, and then I do that. All right, 3 simple rules. Now, some final thoughts on firearm safety now that we've covered those 3 simple rules. We as people who use guns a lot are at the greatest risk for violating those rules. We get used to them. And as someone who's going to do gunsmithing, as someone who may be doing shooting, as someone who does a lot of hunting, constantly remind yourself of these rules and constantly police the people around you of these rules. Don't be a Nazi about it, because people stop listening to those Nazis, but gently pull people aside and say, when you've seen violations of them and they're not completely, I'm going to kill somebody right now violation, say, hey, I notice you're doing this way. Maybe you need to change. Now, if it's a true safety issue, somebody is pointing a gun at someone else at a range, and you need to act immediately and make everybody safe, which means, point that gun in a safe direction. Get your finger off that trigger. Pull them aside later and have a more polite conversation, but definitely have that conversation to make safe at that point in time. Well, folks, that's our firearm safety video for 2017. I think this is the one we're going to use for the rest of the year. We'll probably make a new one for 2018. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it topless next time. But remember, folks, firearm safety is important. Never, ever, ever take it for granted. Never, ever, ever cheat yourself of reminding yourself the importance of firearm safety. The day you do may be the day that your life changes, and not in a good way. I'm Luke Stevens, and this is TheGaGG.com.